I actually think that what's going on here is not just the fact that Saudi came out and said, they're doing a study on the relevancy of OPEC, the fact that you've caught everybody long, and you've had, China and everything else. I think more importantly what's going on is I think you're seeing what no one's really talking about is people that have been long oil, short nat gas forever. And while everyone's focused on, crude oil coming off 30% in the last 14 trading days, nat gas has surged 50% in the last 2 weeks.
Up 11%, by the way, just this morning.
Well, it was up at one point. It was up 20% just this morning. So what's happened is you've had a tremendous number of macro funds that have been for years. They've been basically buying oil, selling that gas, and that trade has done tremendously well. And in no short period of time, this trade is imploded. And I'm sure there was a ton of people getting margin called out of this trade where they're being forced to buy nat gas and sell crude oil, and that's added to this
Okay, so but if you're right, does that just mean it's a temporary trade? It's a temporary trade going wrong, if you will.
I think the move in nat gas is for real, although I don't know how much, it's obviously, I've been talking about this for 3 months about how I felt that this was the year that nat gas was actually going to go because of a lot of, somewhat to do with, the storage levels, but also what's going on with, sunspots and the lack of sunspots and everything else. But I really think the move in oil, it's going to be over pretty soon. The 5-day roll is over. I think that you'll see less pressure on the front. I think if the market is colder winter as it is, I don't know how heating oil is going to stay down at these levels. So, I think that the worst is over in crude oil now. I think, I'd definitely be a buyer here rather than a seller. But I think that this whole thing just shows you what can happen when people are caught, with these positions on and have to unwind. That's really what this shows you how it's like a crash.
Mark, it's Penelope's husband. I cannot believe you just mentioned. Did you just mention lack of sunspots? Honest to God, did I just hear you say that?
100%. If you look at NASA came out with this a couple of weeks ago about sunspot activity. If you track sunspot activity versus natural gas, okay, you'll see a pretty good correlation. I know you may not agree with me, but I'm sure Penny would agree.
Wait a sec. On the contrary, my friend, I think we could go into an extended cold spell depending on sunspot. I think it's all about solar activity. I agree with you. Right. The reason I mentioned my wife is you remember she was a dollar trader for you. I guess you remember that pretty well, right?
Yes, and we'll leave that as it is. I remember you. That was a long time ago. Back in the dollar index.
The best ever. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Anyway, So, do you think how cold is the winter going to be?
I mean, I don't know how cold the winter is going to be, but the fear of a cold winter, and the winter hasn't even really started yet, is what's driving that gas prices. Obviously, if it was later in the winter, there'd be less fear because there'd be less of the winter left. But but with the price spiking 50%, in 2.5 weeks, and you have all these funds that have been long crude and long heat, short nat gas, and have been forced to unwind. To some degree, the higher nat gas prices went, the more they had to sell crude oil to just get out of the trade. It was like reverse logic. But I happen to think that now that the 5-day roll period is over in crude and with heating oil, I don't see how they're going to beat up heating oil much more. So I think the worst is over in the crude oil side. Nat gas, I mean, it's anyone's guess what can happen.
Mark, can I just go? I just want to go back to this issue of what the narrative over the past several weeks has been this sort of supply-demand debate and sort of geopolitical issue. How much of you think the move is really an overlay of what you're talking about, which is the unwind or a trade gone wrong here?
I think that it's a lot more about what I'm talking about and a lot less about, things that people focus on all the time. They really can't be that relevant. You're not going to see a 28% drop in crude oil because all of a sudden people are going to wake up and see that, why is there forced selling? Why did it happen so fast? There had to be an unwind. Well, what was the unwind? Okay, was it, funds just, worrying about China and worrying about Saudi and just saying, okay, let's all hit the button at the same time? Or was it basically because they all had on a pair trade, which I think is really what's happened here, and they had, they unwound the trade?